we're going to be talking about some things that are very exciting. And as always, this is a reminder, this is a community. This is all about community and conversation and engagement. It's really laid back. They're candid conversations. Every single month, we try to bring people on that are living different lifestyles, overcoming obstacles, challenging themselves to adapt, evolve, and really create business. So you can come on, screens off, listen mode, chat, whatever. So Amy, one of the things that we love to do in the community, Amy's our guest today, of course, and we're going to be talking about data. But one of the things we like to do, Amy, is have everybody that's on the call introduce themselves first so that you know who is here supporting you and committed to you. And then we are going to have you introduce yourself, if that's okay.
Absolutely. My name is Amy Benicewicz. I work at LBDigital and I'm in New Fairfield, Connecticut. Very nice to meet you guys.
Love it. Welcome all over the country. My name is Adam Griggs. I am the founder of CLARAfi. I'm your moderator today, and I'm very, very excited to be leading this discussion. And I will turn it over to Patrick.
Hello, I'm Patrick Kagan. I'm the founder of PK Solutions Group. I'm here in Chicago, Illinois, and data is such an important part of my life, so I am going to be all ears with Amy today.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more, Patrick. I'm excited to listen and learn. Rachel.
Morning, good afternoon. Rachel McCool. I am in California, work for GoDaddy, manage community experiences, and just really happy to be able to meet Amy in person virtually.
Always thankful for you, Rachel. Thank you for being one of the community founders and advocates. Elena.
Hi, I'm Elena. I'm on Rachel's team at GoDaddy, working on community events and here in the LinkedIn group, getting to know all of you guys in these meetups. I am super excited to hear what Amy has to say. I always love to hear more about data. So yeah, I'm excited.
Love it. Thank you again to the GoDaddy team and Elena for always being present and committed. We appreciate you for that. Emma, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Emma Lawrence, founded Life is Coaching You to assist people through major life transitions, and my specialty is burnout, especially millennial burnout, helping people go from that singed state to a joyful, sustainable relationship with their life's work. Amy, I'm really excited to hear you, not only because of your topic, but because every time I see you respond to things on our feed, I'm really impressed and engaged with your answer. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I love that. Emma, thank you for being here today and being a committed member of the community. And for everybody that's on this call and listening later, we're going to have Emma and Patrick on this call next month doing some fun stuff. So make sure you guys tune in September. Mary Jane, I think if you're on here, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Yeah, I am on. I'm having some difficulties with my video. I'm Mary Jane Aceto. I work with Amy at LBDigital, and I'm having a good time watching her present for a change.
Love it. I love it. Thank you for being here and supporting Amy, right? Being here in the moment and allowing her to share her vision and her perspective with us. So thank you for that. Jonathan can't be here today. He's normally here with the GoDaddy team as well. So we send him our love, of course, and then all the other community members that will be listening to this later. Definitely appreciate the engagement, the comments, and the kudos. Amy with LBDigital, you are the person in the hot seat today. We are talking data. Why don't you give us a little bit of background into who Amy is and how you got to be with LBDigital and in this realm of geeking out on data?
Yeah, well, I do geek out on data. And so that so between 9 to 5, after that, nothing. So yeah, I started at a time I didn't even know what data was. When I was young, I was very good at math. I did not know what I wanted to do with my career. And I went to school for accounting, and I worked in accounting for a number of years. And I actually have a little story about my claim to fame, which still is my only claim to fame, or my best claim to fame, I could say, in my whole career. So I worked for an accountant, and I was an assistant to some of the accountants, and I was charged with putting together the tax returns, which at that time were completely paper, and there was handwriting on it with little notes and things, and I would have to copy them and get them ready to be mailed out. Well, I just had this habit of, I couldn't help myself. I looked at the numbers and I would calculate them in my mind and say, does this look right, and whatever. So one day I'm looking at a tax return, and I looked at it and I said, this doesn't add up. This has someone paying $100 too much to the IRS. And I looked at it, it was the accountant's mother's return, this little sweet old lady. And I said to the accountant I was working with, is this correct? It actually looks like she's paying $100 too much. And she goes, you are absolutely right. She goes, let's go into the head accountant and show him this. And I showed him, I said, look, your mother's paying $100 too much. Oh my God, he said, thank you. And he went and corrected it and everything. And they were so appreciative. And I've never had a moment like that. So that was my accounting fun. And that was really cool. But at some point I realized I'm reporting on stuff that, I moved on to companies where I worked in accounting and finance and credit. And I said, I'm reporting on things that happen. What about the salespeople? They make things happen. I said, that's really cool. And so I was working for a company. I was in the accounting department, and it was a marketing company. It was the first marketing company I worked for, a data marketing company. And as they were growing, I said, hey, I'd really like to move into sales if you have, an opening there. I want to make things happen. I want to see how this works. So as they were growing, I got a position in operations, and then a sales position opened up. They needed more salespeople. So they said, okay, Amy, poof, you're a salesperson. So I kind of learned from the seat of my pants, and went there and learned a lot of things. And from there, I just stayed in data sales. That was back in 1994. And I didn't even know there was a data industry. There was no data science, education. There wasn't talk of all this big data. It was kind of this thing you really didn't know about. So I learned a lot. I moved on, to some bigger data companies. I had managed some subscriber lists for US News and World Report, for Upside Magazine, some catalogs like Delia's, which was a young person's catalog at the time for clothing. And then moved on to companies where, we work with databases, which I'll get more into when we talk about the data, but joined LBDigital in 2005. It was really, I had worked with a company called Media Source Solutions, which is LBDigital's parent company. And I literally wanted to work closer to home. My boys were young. I wanted to be there when they got off the bus, and I was looking for work closer to home. And this company was in Florida. I'd worked with them for many years. And they actually said to me, we're looking to hire remote salespeople. And I said, yes, I could be home when my boys get off the bus. This is so cool. And so they actually had started a new division that was more charged with a little different kind of sales than the parent company did. It was actually working with companies to resell our data. So kind of managing the sellers of our data, as well as, selling ourselves, and do licensing and different kind of deals. So I said, sign me up. So I started, there was just a website called, it was actually List Bargains at the time. It was more, direct mail list, which was all that was available. And we later segued into LBDigital with MJ, who joined me a couple of years after I started at the company. And we've been partners in crime ever since, and we haven't looked back. So that's my story.
I love that. I like hearing the experience of our speakers that are on, right? Because there's context in the journey. Everybody evolves and comes from a different place than they originally started, right? Whether it be starting in the mailroom or starting like you did with an accounting firm. And I love that you've been in the remote world for 17 years now, right? Before the remote world was everybody's problem that they had to now adapt to or learn from. And so I think you've got some great context and perspective in today's conversation. And one of the things that I really appreciate about your background, knowing where you came from, is you went from crunching and compiling numbers to curating it for sales and marketing. So you've seen both sides of the data channel and why it matters. And I think that's valuable, right? Value comes from perspective and experience, which is why we share these conversations. It's why we do these things, so that we can learn from each other. So I really appreciate your journey, Amy, and sharing that with us. We've talked a lot about building brands and understanding why we're in business, and really driving that home a lot this year. But I want to kind of talk about this data. I mean, how do we take what we believe to be our business, what we believe to be our channel, and how do we define target audience? Like, how do we really dial that in? Talk to us a little bit about that before we get into kind of compiling data and understanding the tech behind it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of ways that you could kind of hone in on your target audience. One of them would be based on your product and service, right? So if you had a product, let's say you sell women's shoes, well, your audience would be females into fashion, you would think. But do you really know exactly who your audience is? It could be, you know, females who of a certain age. It could be, you know, females who are into, maybe they like beauty, or maybe they like skiing. Maybe there's something about your product that is also similar to other things. So how do you find more of these people that are your best customer? And so one of the things that we do for clients is we can take in your customer list, or your best customers. It could be, you know, 10,000 records or 5,000 records, or even less if that's what you have. And we can match it up against our database of consumer or business data and tell you your best customers highly fall into this range of age 35 to 44. They're professional women, and they love to ski and travel on, you know, on the weekends. So that's one way of kind of using data to really find your exact customer, your best customer, and really hone in on your marketing.
I think that that's a valuable thing to talk about, because when I hear the word data, and I know having conversation with clients over the years, when they hear the word data, we've really gotten into this phase of technology and life where people want to overwhelm you with that. Oh, I've got 10 billion data points that we can pull from. Awesome. I really appreciate the avalanche that you've just really confused me about and overwhelmed me about. What do I do? Well, we can dial that down to 10,000 for your sales team. Okay, like that's really cool. You've got some great strength in there. What does that mean for me? Right. And as small business owners who are really looking to find that target data and understand why our customers are buying from us and who our customers really, really are, that's an identity crisis, because at the same time, we've got all these millions and millions of data points from everything that we're doing. And we've got this identity inside of ourselves that we say everybody's our customer, but not everybody's our customer. And not all that data matters to us. Right. And so we've got to figure out how to bridge that gap, which is kind of why I alluded with that question. And that's kind of the title of our meetup today, right? I miss you, not. And I was being a little facetious when I posted that as far as our conversation goes, because I really feel that that's important to understand. If you want to make sales happen and you want to make them happen more consistently with less failure rate, you got to know your client, right? If you're talking to the wrong people, or you're overwhelming them with something that's really not in their channel, that's a waste. And then how do you miss somebody that was never your client to begin with, right? How do you avoid having those conversations with people that are either your competitor or people that feel you're pestering them, avoiding those situations? So I think there's a lot of value in knowing your target audience and being able to really dial down the noise of those tens of thousands or even millions of data points. So why don't you tell us a little bit, Amy, about how LBDigital does that? How do you guys dial down the noise for your clients?
Yeah, well, that's a great question, Adam. There's several ways that we can do it. And we do happen to have like 2 to 3 million or billion data points every month. So there is a lot of data that can be valuable for certain use cases. So it really depends what you're trying to do. And since we're talking specifically about small businesses today, I would say that first you want to find out, you know, what is relevant to you. So there's different sources of data, and a lot of people talk about the firmographics for, you know, reaching businesses, or the demographics or interest for reaching consumers. But we also like to look at, what is your offer? Are you offering a service? Are you offering a product? Is it high ticket item? Is it low ticket item? So there's a lot of things that can go into what we're doing. Some of the data points we bring in are more low ticket and work great for like business funding or credit needy kind of things, offering someone, you know, secured credit or that sort of thing. And then there's others that are really just very specific, like there's an education offer. You want people in this occupation looking to move to the next level, like nurses is a popular one, with education to get, you know, bachelor's degree or master's or whatnot and move on. So we really look at what is the offer. And the more that the client can tell us, the better we can do for them. So we like to ask a lot of questions. So for instance, if it was a nurse education offer, I wouldn't go to our billions of data points. Those are more better when you want someone that's very responsive to more of a consumer, like generalized offer. So we would, for nurses, hone in on the people that are nurses and maybe just responded to interest in online education offer. or we can build a custom offer. If it's specifically they want people that want a bachelor's in nursing, want a master's in nursing, or want to, some other education for their RN, or one of these different career categories, we could build a custom offer of people that are looking online for these specific educational opportunities. And that's where you really have the beauty of data, that for the right offer, if it's, you're promoting a movie premiere by Sony Pictures, you want to reach everyone. You want to reach people that are active online, that are responsive, that can see your offer, that you could, give them awareness of this movie promotion. But if you want someone to respond and sign up and pay for, a lot of money for a school, you want to go narrow. You want to find those people that are truly interested. And that is the beauty of data, because, while there's some people that say, well, we don't want someone to have our personal information. God forbid we have a personalized offer targeted to us. It's not meant, it's all permission based, everything we do. First of all, that's number one, important, that we follow all the GDPR privacy laws in Europe. We follow the CCPA laws in California, and all the laws. So there are people that have already said, they filled out something, they're interested in online education, they've raised their hand, they said, yes, I want promotions that are of interest to me. And that's the beauty, that we could then find a target audience that is just right for your offer. And if we don't have one, we can build a custom one.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on that. I mean, one of the things you've led with is relevance. And we believe that relevance and proximity really drive business, right? If you're relevant and you're close to them, or you're close to their decision-making capacity, those are moments that matter. And if you miss those moments, they can pass and you can fail to capture that client. And really what we want to do is find clients that are going to be repeat buyers, right? Or people that are going to be our champions, and they're going to be out there advocating for us. They're going to love the experience and love the brand and love the moment. And if you can find those people and really hone in on the ones that matter to your conversation, your brand, your style, that's how you build business that's long lasting. And I am really glad that you mentioned the GDPR compliance and all the data laws. I think, we think about billions of data points as being overwhelming, but there's the other side of the coin too, right? What are the do's and don'ts? How is this legal? Is it legal? How do I know to follow up? How do I cross-check these individuals? I mean, as a small business owner, I did not get into this to try to go and make sure that I'm being compliant, right? I want to be compliant, just like understanding credit card transactions. That's not something that I do personally. There's a service that does it, right? So I think what you have is more valuable than most people know. And I think really, really honing in on that target audience and doing it in an appropriate and a compliant way helps the experience be so much better. I think there's beauty when you can just let go of the overwhelm, dial in that target data, and just allow yourself to build an experience where people can actually buy into you, buy into your brand, and hopefully be long-lasting repeat customers or even advocates for your brand. There was a saying when I started in sales, and it was one of the funniest things I ever heard. One of my managers said, if I told you how many no's it would take to make $1 million, and you knew that exact number, how fast would you go to go get all those no's? I'm like, tomorrow, I'd go get them all. Right? But there's a problem in small business with that mentality. We all have a budget. There's money, right? We got to expend some money to make sure that we're getting out there in front of people and having those yes or no conversations. So even if you knew the exact number of no's you need to get, you still got to be budget conscious. You still got to be looking forward and making sure that you're balancing those sales and those futures coming in. And I think what you provide allows us to miss less. Right? I miss you not. I've targeted the right customer. I'm having conversations of context and value, and I'm not spending where I shouldn't be spending. So I appreciate you for that. Talk to us a little bit about the evolution of business. I mean, obviously you started doing this, in the early 2000s, and things have really kind of cascaded, especially in the last 2 years, as far as where the evolution of business is going. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, there's been very big changes. Obviously, since LBDigital started in 2005, we had postal data, we had contact name, we had phone in some cases, and that was that. And we would ship out actual, mag tapes of orders to clients. It was, or DVDs at some point, or CDs. But then email came along, and everyone said, email is going to kill the direct mail business. Well, email didn't kill the direct mail business, but email and direct mail are actually still going strong. So then we started working with email data and helping clients with email, which is a whole nother story in terms of how to actually send out large volumes of email. If it's third-party email, it's completely different than sending out emails to your customer list that you may manage on HubSpot or one of the other platforms. So third-party data on email is just a whole thing. So that became something that we focused on and helping clients with. And then digital started coming out. And that was just, whoa, that just blows your mind. And with what you can do there. And we actually were one of the guinea pigs for onboarding data. And that means taking offline data, which is our name and postal, phone and email, and making it so it's available as a made and a cookie to deliver ads actually on the computer, targeted ads, as well as on the mobile devices. And we were a guinea pig for LiveRamp, which is the first company to onboard data. I'm not sure if you've heard of them, but they were the very first. Now a lot of people onboard data, taking the offline data to the online data. Now there's a lot of wonderful benefits for that. One is if it's your own data, you can actually now see what your clients are doing online, not just offline. And you could do a campaign to them differently for people that are your own clients already to people that are new to your company that you're prospecting to. So it's a really beautiful thing. And the other thing, I mean, for us being a data provider, we were able to onboard all of our data. We still do, and we still work with LiveRamp. And we work with other companies as well too. And there's digital platforms that companies that want to send campaigns, even small companies. There's a couple of platforms that actually work financially, with small company budgets. Others are like, you have to be huge in a brand and you have $3 million a month. You say, we can't do that. So there's a couple of companies that we found that we recommend to clients or work with, because we don't actually deploy the campaigns generally. We provide the data, where small businesses can run campaigns, and our data is available through many different platforms that all different brands, big and small, can access it online for digital. So yes, it's been a big, transfer, and it's a whole different world. The biggest thing I think I found, and I know MJ will agree, and Patrick as well, who I've worked with for many, many years, is that when it was direct mail and even email, there was like one organization that was the big organization. It was list brokers and list managers. You'd go to the DMA conference, which was once a year. Everyone knew each other. We all bought and sold from each other because we all had different data. We all needed someone else's, and we make deals and help clients. Once it became digital, there was all these different organizations and all these different conferences. We'd go to a conference and say, I don't know one person. What is this? Is this my world? So now companies we want to prospect to, they don't even have a phone number on their website. We used to call people all the time. Now you can't. I'm all for email because it's a really good way to transfer information, especially numbers or spreadsheets, and it's great. But you can't get a person on the phone. So that's really, I think, an interesting change in my world. And there's MJ, and she would agree, and Patrick would agree. And I don't know if other people in other industries are finding this, that it's hard to find the person. There's no receptionist. Even if you get a company, they're like, if you know who you're reaching, press their extension, And so that's been something that we're always trying to work into, even finding the people that are using our data. It's all online. There's no communication. How do I help them better? And so that's our daily challenge that we work with.
I like that. I think business is going to continue to evolve, and no matter how much we want to keep up with it, it's going to change too fast for us to really understand it on a professional level, right? We can learn and be aware of it, be a little bit more of an educated consumer, but we've got to leave it to the professionals like yourself and MJ to understand how and why this data matters to us. You mentioned cookies. A lot of people don't even understand what that is. And really, it's funny that it's named that, because we're trying to create campaigns that are snackable content that show up in those moments, and cookies the name for that. It's like, wow, perfect hand in hand.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many funny names. There's so many acronyms, and every day there's a new one in the digital marketing world. I don't know what it is, but they cannot get enough of acronyms. Cookies, by the way, are a way of tracking customers or website visitors' activities. So you go on the Gap, and they'll know you're on the, Gap will know you're on their site. They'll know that you clicked on men's pants, and they'll be able to track and add to you. Let's say you left the site, you'll then see an ad on another website. You could be on your news site, your local news site, and there's this ad for the pants at Gap. And it's all based on, well, in the privacy policy, it's permission based. They say they collect cookies and they can, follow you around. But the thing that's not, it sounds spooky. It sounds really like they're following me. Who are they? Well, it's anonymous. A cookie does not know that you're Adam Briggs. It doesn't know I'm Amy Benicewicz. A cookie only knows a computer/browser. So it knows that on this computer, and they don't know it's your computer, where it is or anything like that, just a computer and a browser. So if you're on Google Chrome, that's one cookie. If you later go on that same Gap page and you're on Apple Safari, that's another cookie. Anonymous. It's a string of numbers and letters. They have no idea who you are, but they know that this string of numbers and letters was looking at men's pants at the Gap. So I'm going to show them men's pants offers. And if that data is shared to a third party, they'll know on this day, this cookie was looking at men's pants at the Gap. I got a hold of this cookie. I want to send them men's pants at J. Crew because I know they're interested in that. And that's how advertising works. And it's all permission based.
I'm glad that you touched on that, because there's so many levels of interaction when it comes to the sales channel and understanding the digital environment that we live in. You can have things where you go and visit a website, and then you can have the next level of that where you've logged in and you've created an account, and that's given them a little bit more permission to curate your needs and kind of deal with things. And then beyond that, right, you've left things in shopping carts. Home Depot does a great job of this. They remind me, hey, you forgot to buy this. And I'm like, oh yeah, like I was supposed to go. Thank you for that. And then there's other times where, people have this understanding that they've talked about washing machines or whatever, and then all of a sudden it's in their Facebook feed and they're like, is my mic on? Like, I'm not sure where the lines are, but there's obviously different levels of interaction, right? With whatever app you're using, whatever website you're visiting, how you interact with these customers. And I want to come full circle to what you do, Amy, because we were talking at the beginning of the call that it's not just about creating a sales channel and sales funnel to get people in. It's about keeping them. It's about managing their expectations, creating an experience, and allowing them to really stick around, being defensible at the same time. So you mentioned earlier that one of the things that you do at LBDigital is you ask questions. You dial in on the conversation with your clients. Talk to us a little bit about what that looks like. I mean, what differentiates you versus some of these big, massive names that we couldn't hope to afford today?
Well, that's one thing that differentiates us. You can afford us. We work with any budget. It usually starts at $500 and up. And we can help with data depending on what channel and what it is you're looking for. So that's sort of our minimum. So what differentiates us? One thing, and this is really interesting. I don't know if anyone here knows like some of the big name data companies like Axiom, there's Epsilon, there's Experian, the credit bureau that also has data. A lot of people know those companies because they're humongous and they offer a million different services, and data is one of them. Companies like mine, like my company as a small business, we actually provide some data, some unique, some fresh data to those companies. A lot of the data they have is sort of more like stagnant or more just, like the basics, plain vanilla kind of stuff. Like they have like name and address, or they have age on their own. Experian has a little bit of more of like the credit information that you have, but we'll provide them, like for instance, we'll provide trigger data. So they want to know like who is in market for, a wedding, who's in market for baby products, who's in market for retirement, who's responsive now, who's active. And so, they'll come to us for things like that. So they look like they're this big company that has everything, but a lot of times they come to companies like ours, the smaller businesses who really are very good at curating unique data sets and more the active data sets. What action is someone taking now? So they come to us, and that's sort of like our dirty little secret is, or their dirty little secret, I should say, is that they come to companies like ours, and we're the ones that actually know the data the best, and we're the ones that are, get it first and are initially curating that data. So that's something a lot of people don't know. But that's one of the benefits, is that we actually have that unique data and that activity data. Some of the other things are, those companies may offer data, but they also offer like 20 other things. And it's hard for them, like they may bring in a customer for something else and they'll say, well, we'll throw you this data for free. But we've had our data analyzed for accuracy by a third-party company called TruthSet that started a couple of years ago for this purpose of determining data accuracy against a truth set that they've built. And our little company has come up #1 in more categories of data in accuracy against these many other large companies than any other company. As a matter of fact, Q2 2022, we just got our scores, and we came in #1 in 14 different categories. That was more categories than any of the other providers at all. So, tooting my horn a little bit, but it makes us very proud because we work hard to curate accurate data. It's one of the things we do. The categories were tops, and I might as well tell you, it was small business. Actually, small business owners was one of the ones we were #1 in. And then we have ages, we have incomes, we have homeowners, we have multicultural and race. And we're really proud. And the reason it feels good to have TruthSet, we believed our data was accurate. Our clients have liked our data, come back for many, many years on different channels. But some of the things we do that are different that creates data accuracy that some of these big companies don't do, I'd like to share with you. So one of them is by taking data from many different sources, combining them and verifying and validating against each other is super important. And we only take data segments where there was at least 5 touch points. So let's say you bought golf balls for, your best friend who golfs. In, some of the bigger providers, they'll just take that. They'll say, this person showed up for golf interest, golf purchase, and they'll be on that list for 20 years. And they bought something for their friend, and they're never going to be interested in golf or buy again. But if we have 5 touch points and also recency on it, we see that, someone recently subscribed to a golf newsletter. They've gone, looked into a golf vacation. They are a member of a golf course, and they bought golf balls and maybe golf apparel. So it's really strong, and it really helps to create an accurate data set. And that's what's important to us, to be able to provide that to our customers. So our focus is data. Our business is data. That is our only business. So that's our specialty, and that's what we do.
No, I like that. I like that you have a very strong focus and a very confident understanding. It's interesting that you're a data provider and you still cross-reference and check your own data with another service to make sure that it's not just verified, but it's validated by somebody else so that you can feel confident in offering it to your clients. And really, it does come down to making sure that the data is relevant now and is recent, because people change, people evolve, people move, they have families, they shift careers, their interests change. Obviously, the world has really kind of shoved us into a different environment and lifestyle. And now we're connecting at this hyper rate, right? We're really learning and living and being part of other people's journeys that we never would have been able to be part of before. Like in this call, we've got people all over the country and sometimes all over the world. And when we listen and we learn, we find out that there's new interests that maybe we want to tackle, we want to go after. I geek out on data. I mean, this is something that's very exciting to me. And I think that there's a lot of value in understanding that what you have is not just compliant and compiled and here you go. It's curated, it's specific. It's something that we take pride in. And really, at the end of the day, one of the things you touched on was the strength point is the big providers are coming to you. They're taking the information from you, which I think is amazing for the members of our community and the members of small business, because that was your #1 score and you're in our community. You're here, you're within a connection, you're one connection away, right? And that's something that we need to understand, is this relationship dance we have with data doesn't have to be overwhelming. It doesn't have to be billions of data points. We don't have to go to the big players like Axiom or Salesforce or any of these. Basically, we want to be able to have confidence in our journey. And one of the things we like to do, Amy, is because we want to have confidence in that, and we want to be a community of players, at the end of our interviews, we always open it up for comments and kudos and questions, really, things that have been left unanswered. So are you comfortable with us going ahead and kind of opening that up?
Absolutely.
Perfect. Well, I'll start. I just have to appreciate you for how you've kind of gone full circle, which started with your evolution in business and perspective. And I really appreciate the fact that you honed in on relevance, proximity, and recency, right? What matters now? I want to know, like, what is one tip that you might give somebody right now that's just getting started?
I mean, one thing I would say is work with a data professional to figure out all this data that's going on out there. But if you were looking at data on your own, the one thing I always ask first, even when we get new data partners, I say, how is this data sourced? Where did it come from? Is it privacy compliant? What are the different fields available? Data is, it's kind of selling the invisible in many cases. You order these demographics or these, this target, and you get a list of people. You don't see this person having that golf interest. You don't see this person traveling. You don't see their age. So even though you're getting addresses or, targeting digitally, whatever, it's really the invisible. So you want to know what is this data? How do you know they're this age? And I always ask that, even to this day, even when we meet different data partners that we're going to bring in new data at our company. I guess just whatever you're curious about that. But I ask where it's from. How did you get it? What action did the person take to be on this list? We have some lists where they say, well, they filled out forms online. They registered on this website. That's how we know they're interested in this topic. Or they responded to an email on this topic. Or they've been browsing websites. Again, it's all permission-based. The website's privacy policies and whatever. They've been browsing articles on this topic. How many articles? Not just one. We take 5+ again. So we know there's a strong interest. So how did this list come about? That's number one.
Oh, I love that. And I'm glad you started with the data partner, because curiosity drives everything. And that's what we love, being curious, trying to find something that's going to be fun to explore, and having somebody that's a guide makes it a lot more exciting if the environment seems like it's just too crazy, right? So thank you for that. Patrick's got his hand up for you.
Yeah, mine is really a kudos to both Amy and then Mary Jane, MJ, because I've been a data partner with them since probably 2007, I believe. And one of the differentiators, which Amy's probably too humble to admit, is that she and MJ are the real differentiators. These big places, they have a lot of stuff that's out there. It's like looking at the globe, and then she gets down to the doorstep, she and MJ, and you can reach them. So getting to a person and a data professional who knows what they're talking about and can help. And Amy's helped me build a very successful business, Amy and MJ both. And that's, the difference between curating information and compiling information. I mean, compiling is like putting a big pile of crap in your yard, and curating is getting what you want out of that and bringing it into the house. And I think that's, anybody in a small business will learn from Amy and MJ that the data always tells the story. No matter what you believe, the data will tell you the story. And that's like math, and that's what, Amy, I think why you're so successful. So just a big kudos in general to you and your team.
Thank you, Patrick. It's always been wonderful working with you, and look forward to many more years working together. And I'm going to use that in my marketing. We don't put a big pile of crap in your backyard.
we put a pile of crap in your mailbox.
As long as it's cash, right? No, I appreciate that, Patrick. Thank you for sharing that context and where you're at, because obviously your business has evolved a lot just in the last couple of years, and you're still working with somebody that's helping you not only navigate that environment, but really be excited about it. Giving
Well,
you
what's nice too is anybody watching this in the rebroadcast or in this meeting right now, if you're thinking about acquiring new clients or retaining who you have, and if you roll up your sleeves with MJ and with Amy, what you're going to find is someone who's just an honest, straight shooter. They're going to help you build your business, and they're going to find those nuggets that you are overlooking that will make the difference between profit and loss in business and out of business. I mean, they're built for small business success. So I'm fortunate to have them as my partners.
I love that you said it that way, profit and loss. You know, we talked about I miss you not. We want to miss those losses, and we want to capture the ones that are really the moments that matter, the clients that really are going to make the difference. So thank you for that, Patrick.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, well, I just want to say that the whole data thing for me is just brand new. You know, so listening to you has really been an education. And I'm happy to say that it kind of has taken the fear out of it for me. You know, it's kind of made it accessible. And it's not just a pile of information that's going to be overwhelming and that's not really going to be useful at the end of the day. You know, like that kind of feeling to it. Data, you know, it feels so huge. But I feel like I've gotten a much better sense of how something can be a more narrow, as you say, a more narrow scope, and how it can be helpful. And that it's okay to go ahead and step into that world and begin to explore it. So really want to thank you for that, because that's a big shift to understand that a bit more.
You're welcome, Emma. I'm so glad that you feel that way. That was beautiful.
Yeah, there's so many people that are still in the adventure state, right? They've just started out on their journey and things are very new to them, just like you, Emma. And there's other people that have been around a long time and really have gotten stuck in their own rut and don't realize that they should have gotten out. So there's both ends of that spectrum, and taking the fear out of it is powerful. I appreciate you for sharing that with us today, and Amy for being the person that brought that to us, right? The conversations we have matter. And I think we've talked a lot, I'll go back to this, we talked a lot about defining your target audience, but how do you find the people in that target audience, right? I know my definition, this is my client. Well, where are they? What are they doing? How can I get to them right now when it matters to me? So I appreciate everything that you've done for us. Amy, where can we send people to connect with you? What is the next best step that they can do to continue this journey and this conversation with you?
Yeah, great. So LBDigitalData.com is my website, and there's contact information for myself and MJ there. And simply Amy, AMY, at LBDigitalData.com is my email. And those are probably the best ways to get in touch. But also my cell phone is 203-830-9583. And if you guys have any questions, I'm always happy to talk about data. So even if it's just a question, if you're not ready to use it, I'm happy.
No, I appreciate you for everything you've shared today and letting us into your world and doing this on the fly. So thank you for that. We'll definitely connect with you. And of course, continue to contribute in the community. We love this education that's empowering and it's removing the fears. So thank you for all you've done so far to not only add and contribute, but interact with us and offer, you know, perspective, comments, likes, questions, all of that. It's great. Thank you for that.
I was just saying you're welcome. You're very welcome. And I appreciate this community. And again, thank you to Patrick for introducing me. It's been really a wonderful atmosphere. I really appreciate it.
That's the power of community. I appreciate Patrick for introducing us as well. And definitely for everybody else that was on this call, thank you so much for being part of this conversation and this journey. And let's take on data. Let's build something that really can drive it home and have some fun and be curious at the same time.